going on there, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's a conversation you could be having during the day, but having at night. Yeah, we're sorry for the delayed start, but yeah, we're having a lot of technical issues.
I, for one, was ready on time, though.
All right, I'll give you that this one time. All right, but I'll still find a way to blame you. It'll still be your fault. But yeah, we were having all sorts of like audio issues, like last minute, and I actually was getting things set up way in advance too, and we still like ran into all these problems. And then I guess it's the last one in because you're the last, because actually we had some audio problems with you too on your end, and you were and
yeah. So it all kind of So yeah, it is it's my fault.
So it's your fault.
Okay. Well, because this month is kind of a special month. We're doing something different that we're kind of trying for the first time, I think. Mm-hmm. So it's takes the first one's gonna be a little rough. But that's okay.
Yeah, but it was just so weird that like everything's just started. Just felt like the bottom kind of fell out. At the last minute. Because because again we're attempting something that we haven't done before, and so or at least and I was making sure everything was working, and it seemed to be working fine, and then all of a sudden I switch one little thing, and all of a sudden it stops working, and I have to like restart the computer, and it's just a whole big thing, and I don't want to bore anyone with the details. So we won't, and we'll just get into the stream. Yes, it's your boy Andy, co-hosting, co-piloting this thing with me is from the homeboy Rob, and we have another week, we got another stream for you. We got some commentary about some current event topics, and as well as the movie review, which if you didn't catch last week's stream, then you don't know, and it's guest month, and we'll be having a guest with us, reviewing a movie, and it's actually guest pick, and this week. Well, to start us off, it's kind of a little treat, because if you did catch the stream or you caught the replay, then you know who the stream guest is tonight, and that's David Blake, who joined us live last week, but this week will be joining us via a pre-tape.
Yeah, well, and that's because all of the guests were we did a pre-tape in advance for this month. And I'll be honest, I'm actually like, it's kind of nice. I'm getting a little bit of a break as far as like.
Right. Well, just like having that well, not that pressure, but kind of having that task over your head that you have to do before the following week, and and you might be saying it's like, oh, well, it's just watching a movie, but it's like, with Rob's schedule, like and work and things like that, and my schedule and what have you, it's like sometimes it's hard to fit in, like genuinely.
It can be challenging, especially because we're not. If I was just like watching a movie and like throwing it on in the background, like that's one thing, because I can do that easily. But then it's like you're not really. That's not what you do for a review. Like these movies that we're watching or whatever, we're focused on like things of. We want to take a look at it in a critical way. We want to find things. I tend to like I'll stop and I'll oh hey, I wanted to talk about this point at like this part of the movie and like this scene. And half the time, like when I'm watching a movie, like I'll pause and I'll be talking to Andy, texting Andy about like stuff about the movie, and it's like, hey, what do you think about this or that? and Andy knows when I'm watching the movies, because half the time I'm throwing like 20 text messages his way, kind of like, trying to get his thoughts too, and but it's kind of nice this month. Like I'm not having to I'm not under the gun as far as movie reviews go. So I am kind of just this month I've been more into getting in some gaming that I've kind of put on the back seat. So yeah, it's been kind of nice. But I
Yeah,
will say,
absolutely.
it's something. Oh, I'm sorry. Like, you go first.
Oh no, I was just adding in absolutely.
Yeah. Although for our movie fans out there, I had totally forgotten that it was this time of the year again. But Turner Classic Movies has their 31 days of Oscar, and they it's going through from April 1st to May 1st, and you can go on their website and they give you the entire schedule and they give you a break. They kind of give you a quick synopsis of each of the movies that they're going to be marathoning. And let me tell you, there are some great heavy hitters on here that some of them like we've done like we've done 12 Angry Men. That's going to be on this month. Anatomy of a Murder. That's going to be on this month. Like we've done Citizen Kane. But then there's also a lot of movies that like I have either not seen myself. We're talking about getting it, doing a review on it, or just movies that like yes, they are like the great classics that for whatever dumb reason I haven't seen yet. And it's even like I forgot like which movie it was that really I was talking to another friend of the podcast, Daryl, who the movie that really got us started on doing these movie reviews, and I don't know if you remember this, Andy, was The Maltese Falcon. That's when we really really started getting heavy into this because
Yeah, that's right.
I had watched it it was like a recommendation from someone that was like, oh, if you like kind of like, oh, this seems like a good movie to watch, and it's kind of if you like tough guy actors, this is a great movie to watch. And I watched it and I was like, wow, this is really cool. Andy, let's watch this together. And we'll talk about it on the live stream. And that's kind of the genesis of our movie marathon, our movie reviews that we do, which have become my favorite part of the live stream. And kind of when the world looks very bleak and the news kind of like is very disheartening, I can look forward to like we have at least like a whipped cream topping on the shit pile that uh, on some of the topics that we end up having to talk about.
Yeah, but still doesn't escape my attention that we're still eating shit.
That's true. It's you still have that distinct shit flavor, but hey, there's some whipped cream on top.
Oh. Yep.
But yeah, go if you guys are obviously if you're fans, if you're classic movie fans, this is the month to be watching Turner Classic Movies. I mean, it's going to be nonstop. And some of them obviously are like 4 a.m. So if you can't wake up at that time, set a recording. And they also have like little like introductions and like kind of they talk about certain details about the movie too. So it's not just you watching the movie and then that's it. There's all sorts of like little cool tidbits that they talk about.
Okay. Yeah, that's something to look forward to. Whoops. Um. Yeah. So why don't we just get into the stories of the day? I guess. I mean, you're kind of signaling, so we might as well start there with the whole kerfluffle with the whole like Georgia voting laws and MLB's reaction to it. I it's it's also ridiculous. I honestly don't know like where to begin. I mean, maybe at the beginning, but
It's yeah, as everyone knows. I mean, I love sports. Yeah, it's the last for a time. It's the last. It's the only like reality show that's out there because it's you have like these great. It's not just the sport itself, but you have like the stories behind like like the players, all that stuff. So I love sports. It's something I've been into since I was a little kid, and if for me like sports was kind of that was one thing, like the world's kind of crazy, the news is kind of crazy, but you know what, like I can go and like I can watch a football game, or I can watch a baseball game, or I can go to a NASCAR race, and I'm away from that stuff. But as things are going, that the political craziness is now, they're encroaching on like my enjoyment of things. And uh it was already starting to happen slightly, but last year really ramped up a lot of the the wokeness um of some of these leagues. I mean, football is kind of like, there's a lot of like the commissioners of this that are running the sports right now. Baseball, football especially, Roger Goodell is awful. He's a terrible commissioner. um Adam Silver for basketball, like I can't watch basketball anymore. It's garbage to me. um the and baseball is going down that route too, because uh now it's all about, oh, we have to do all this inclusion and all this stuff. It's like, yeah, like that was already happening, like without without the interference of bureaucrats running the sport. uh yeah, no one's like, no one's keeping like gay people out of the sport, or like no one's a lot of these teams, that it's not just like a bunch of white people. Like you have people from all over the world that play for sports teams. You got people from the Dominican Republic, you got people from Japan, Korea, from Mexico, from like all across like Latin America. All these places. So if you were a racist or like a kind of like how the left views things, you would you'd be out of place, because you'd be exhausted. There's too much stuff to hate. So that doesn't exist. But like they're fabricating these supposed um, grievances, that like, oh, we have to like cover our asses on this, and we have to do this, and you better like align yourselves on this political front, otherwise you're you're done. And this is just another avenue that baseball and like their terrible commissioner is they're going down, because there's a bill that was proposed in Georgia. I don't know if it passed or not. I don't remember off the top of my head. But it's pretty much it's a voter ID bill, which is, first of all, too little, too late at this point. Like, what's
right.
but hey, you know what? It's something. Um, it's and it's not like it's the way that the legacy media is spinning it. It's saying like, oh, people, they're not even going to allow people to like, get food, have food and water while they're waiting in line. And if people don't show up, if they don't vote by 7 o'clock, they're not going to be able to vote, and they're limiting the time that people can vote and all this stuff. It's like none of that is in the bill, like at all.
Right,
Like
yeah. I
all
mean,
that is
yeah,
fake.
that's how you know, like, that they know that people aren't gonna go and look for themselves, and they're just gonna trust what the media is gonna, report on it, and and it's like, people should be furious with the media, because they're basically saying you're morons and you just believe anything I say because I sit behind a desk and wear a suit.
You know what's crazy though is that because all the political and legacy media class were touting this. Even like Joe Biden was doing the same thing. And guess
Right.
who the you know the Washington Post, which is no conservative news outlet. That's for damn sure. Even they're saying it's like, yeah, all this is a lie. Like none of that is true. That's not
Right.
even
Yeah, I
real.
know. It's
And I was like, wow. Like I mean, even they, with all their terribleness, like it's like even they is like, yeah, we can't even go along with this lie. That's just too much. Uh, but I say that because why am I, it sounds like I'm kind of rambling, but no, the reason I say that is because there's all this backlash, and the Major League Baseball, once a year during the middle of the summer they have the All-Star game, and it's not like what it used to be back in, like, the All-Star game is just definitely not as fun as it used to be, but it's a thing that like a lot of fans love to go to, generates a ton of revenue for the team and for the city, and it's not just a way to showcase the baseball team, or but it kind of showcases the city, and like it can generate a lot of revenue for the city that like the stadium is in, because a lot of people come to visit and they spend a lot of money.
yeah.
But because
I
of
mean,
but because of all this, the voter ID bill that's going on, all the backlash, they MLB is like, oh, you know what? We don't feel like this is a very inclusive environment, and we decided, because of all the political problems in Georgia, we're going to be moving our All-Star game we're going to be taking it away from the Atlanta Braves, and we're going to be moving it over to Denver, Colorado, or I think that, yeah, they're going to move it over to the Rocky Stadium, which is a beautiful place. It's a beautiful stadium. Good on Colorado. Kind of stumbling into that, but yeah, that's the dumbest why. It's not like, it's like, oh, we've heard that there's going to be a lot of assassination attempts and like death threats and stuff like that, credible death threats, so we're deciding to move for the safety of our fans and our players, we're going to move it over to this place. No, it's none of that. It's all kabuki theater. It's all bullshit.
yeah. I mean, what was it? There's, someone pointed out that what was it that what was it, Atlanta, which is like, more than 50% black. They are now moving it to, Colorado, which is, I forget what state or what city, but it's like 75%. Yeah, Denver. It's like Denver is a 75% white city. So it's like, you're like, in the name of diversity, you're gonna you're gonna move an event from a, very diverse city, and then you're gonna take it to a less diverse city, and then also, and also with the, yeah, and then all the, like, and all the stupid things where, like, people, all the stupid things to be upset about. It's like, oh, like, they can't have food. It's like, a person can eat before they go vote, right? Or they, they can, do the adult thing and, prepare their own lunch or snack with them, as, you know, um, as they wait. And also, yeah, and it's like, and it's not as though they're saying that, poll workers can't, provide water or something. It's just like, no, like, no one from, like, the opposed, like, either side can go, kind of like camp out and, like, uh, you know, what is it? It's one of those fig leaf things where it's like, you can't even have, like, the scent of impropriety, and, like, or, making it seem like, you're trying to get votes for something. It's like, oh, hot day, huh? It's like, oh yeah, it'd be really great, this nice cold water. Who'd give you some nice cold water? My candidate. Yeah, yeah, Diamond Joe Quimby. It's just like, yeah, it's like, oh, so he's like, so it's like, oh, so who you going to vote for? And it's, it's the stuff that's in the measure is to prevent things like that, you know.
Yeah,
And yeah,
which
and like
is
again, like, people who are, either, like, Democrat voters, or people who, who, skew more to the left, they should be upset by this, because they're basically saying that you're morons, you're children, you can't take care of yourself, you can't uh, schedule your day to, like, have, to have a proper meal and then go wait in line to vote, or, maybe do or take care of yourself, and take a small little lunch pail with like some snacks with you.
Yeah, and honestly, if you can't like go like 2 hours without stuffing your face, like you have a
And
fucking
like
problem.
it's not even like two. It's not even 2 hours. They're making they're making it seem like people are waiting like for hours on end. But I would
I'm
hazard
going based off the time frame that they're giving. Like, it's like, okay, even if like I believe that you were like people are waiting in line for hours and hours, like
Mhm.
if you can't go like 2 or 3 hours without eating, like you have a fucking problem.
Yeah, but I would even like then hazard a guess by saying that what is it? The whole voting process doesn't take like 3 hours or whatnot.
No, it doesn't.
It's just they're making it. They're making, and again like then it ties back into like that whole thing of them like making it seem as though um, they're trying to keep they're trying to discourage people of a certain demographic from voting. Um, and even with like the thing about like presenting ID to to vote, it's just like how stupid or incapable do you think black people are? That they can't just they can't find they just can't pick themselves up and go to like a DMV or whatever and get a state or government issue ID.
They hand that shit out like candy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Are you like, are they trying to say that it's like it's that hard to get vote like a state issued ID? It's
Oh, I remember like there was a back. I think it was. I want to say like 2018. I remember like this, and this kind of goes back to like the whole like, when we were, the whole like problem I've been having with like church recently. Not like not your church, but like my old one,
mm,
where there was this whole diatribe by like one of our pastors talking about like how like asking for like ID, and like he went on this whole thing. Not like it was like an article that he wrote, like but it was like one of those like Christian like newsletter things that was like it was,
right.
but it was like that was produced for the church.
Hmm.
And it's like, oh, being able to to ask someone like to get an ID, and like how hard it is, and like, oh, it's just going back to like the kind of like the racist idea, living in this living in the South under Jim Crow's. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's, no one who doesn't have an ID. It's not hard at all to get it.
Yeah, and I mean, what was it? Someone pointed out, like, because everyone in their, every business or Fortune 500 company was like weighing in, and even, I mean, Coke's been having problems, and it sucks because I love Coke, but even Coke was like,
I
even Coke was like, kind of, sticking their foot in, in this, and then it's hilarious because someone pointed out, like, oh, well, when Coke has like a stock holders like meeting, they make them present ID to get into the room.
Yeah, exactly. It's
So
so
so like it was like Coke, why are you being so racist? Why you gotta check for ID? That's racism.
yeah, exactly. God, it's I hate that I've because I love Coca Cola products. I think Coke is it's the best. But
Right, it's a superior
I
cola.
have I have gone away from Coke more recently. Just not that like Pepsi's necessarily like any better. I'm pretty sure they have their own like
All right. Well,
you know
what was that ad campaign that they did a while back with one of the Jenners? It's like, oh, let's start a conversation, and like she was like handing the cop a Pepsi. It's just like,
yeah. But I oh god. But it's lately they've been like less like I mean, yeah, the commercials are there, but like at least like they're not like we're not hearing about them forcing their white workers like be less white. It's like and
right,
all that
yeah. I
business.
mean,
So so I've been drinking a lot more Pepsi products recently, which it's just it is an inferior product. I'm sorry, but
Pepsi with, well, I don't know because I know they kind of switched the formula and said like they're going back to real sugar, whatever that means.
that's
Um,
okay. I will agree. That's actually pretty good. I like that.
yeah, and but back in the day, I remember Pepsi with like crushed ice was the shit.
Oh, yes, it was. But no, I've been
Yeah.
like I've because I think like Dr Pepper is its own thing. So I've been having a lot more Dr Pepper
Yeah.
and
Well,
like
Dr Pepper. Well, isn't Dr Pepper somewhat under Pepsi? Like.
I don't know like it's because there's obviously there's Coke, there's Pepsi, and there's like a couple of like other like smaller ones that are kind of together.
Well,
Um,
Seven Up and 7 Up and Dr Pepper are kind of linked together,
their own
right?
thing, yeah.
Yeah.
God, Seven Up
Uh,
sucks. I really don't like Seven Up at
yeah.
all.
7 Up sucks also.
But Dr Pepper is fantastic drink. That's that and obviously I still drink like a lot of root beer. I like root beer. That's and there's a lot of people that like my favorite all time root beer is Dad's root beer, but it's so hard to find out here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh,
What is it? Yeah, I love me a good what is it? Root beer float every once in a while.
God damn, yeah, that's good
Yeah.
stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, it just it pains me because like honestly, like I don't even want to like with everything that's going on with like the I don't know if I doubt it's ever gonna go away until like someone finally like with enough power says you know what enough's enough, we're done with this,
Mm-hmm.
um, and someone stands up for themselves. But yeah, I just I don't know. I wanna watch baseball. Like I want to go to baseball games, but like I don't want to support this at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, I haven't watched like really like sports in a really long time. Like like whenever I'm with my sister or something, she still kind of watches basketball and stuff, and I know some people who still watch basketball and just like, oh, this is so gay now. It's like no one's in the stadium, like all of like the crowd noises are artificial, and it's just like it's
Yeah,
not fun anymore. It's like there's no energy, and it's like when they play, there's no energy because there's no one that they could like they're not working off of anybody real there. There's no real like fans like they're cheering them on or whatever. So it's like what's the point?
it's like and everyone's talking about like oh it's gonna be great like Staples Center the Lakers they're gonna be allowing fans here pretty soon. It's like what's the difference between like now and like 2 weeks or like whatever like 2 or 3 weeks from now when they're gonna like quote unquote open up. It's like what are they waiting for? Like seriously,
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
just
what was it like? Yeah, like back in earlier this year, uh, like late January, early February, when the the indoor the outdoor but like on site dining was permitted again. Um, Newsom did that while the hospitalization rate was like through the roof here in California. So it's like
yeah.
like he was like obviously wasn't following science, and then opened it up a little bit more with getting I think like opening up a little bit more of the businesses, allowing for like at reduced capacity but indoor dining, and then gyms and movie theaters, and then now I mean just recently it came out that Newsom said that he's ready to open up the economy in like 2 months. But it's just like,
Ooh.
ooh, yeah, it's like, but yeah, of course he put the caveat of like, oh, if certain metrics are met.
Oh, of course. So,
But
like,
but
so,
but
so
again,
in that,
it's all arbitrary.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, this, just seeing that, it's like, what's, wow. I just, I thought like they couldn't sink to like many more lows. I mean, I think like the lowest of the low was like Mark Cuban was like they ended up he was gonna like end up banning like the Star Spangled Banner from being played in at
mhm,
Mavericks games. I
mhm,
think they ended up like overruling him on that, but like the
right.
fact that like he was willing to even do that is wow. I mean that to me that's actually uh that's the lowest. Yeah, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people now, will say now like, oh, it's the you know the anthem at the beginning of sporting events is all propaganda. It was like something from a long time ago when I think they link it, they associate it back to after the Civil War, and they're trying to promote unity and things like that, and they're there's yeah, they were trying to promote unity, since the Civil War, and so that was why the anthem and America were so tied to like sports. But it's like now it's like, oh, well, like why can't we still do that? Why can't we still try and come together as a country? Especially now being so divided. And what is it? Joe Biden, he's supposed to be the one. He from day one, from his inauguration, he was talking about unity, unity, unity. But it's just like
Man, I
but it's
really
not
feel
really
community.
unity. It's not. But they're not really promoting unity. There's like, we want unity, but we want you to come over to our side. We don't want to meet in the middle. It's like we want to dominate. We want all of
Yeah.
our ideas to reign supreme.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like Korea could be unified, like right now today, if the South decided they would go over to the Kim regime in the North. It's like
Yeah, exactly,
that.
exactly. That's the exact. We were talking about this the other day, where it's like how, I forget exactly how we got here, but it's like, yeah, like reunification. I was like, yeah, it'd be great if they'd be unified, but it won't be like it won't be like the Germanys, East and West Germany, where because of communism's fall, the West was able, the West Germany and like the democracy and stuff was able to overtake the communist side of Germany, and just like, no, that's not gonna happen. Like right now, like the only way for unification for the Koreas is if South Korea decides, you know what, Kim Jong Un, he's not such a bad guy. I think he should be the leader.
I like the cut of
And
his jib.
yeah, I like the cut of his jib. But yeah, that's the only way unification could happen right now in Korea and in the Koreas.
And
But yeah, like
that sounds
not unless like kind of like the collapse of communism style thing that happened in East Germany, could there be or where there could be a unification of like of democracy, where the ideas of the South overtake the ideas of the North.
Yeah. Oh man, it's a sad day, to be honest. Like I just it feels like there's less and less for me to be able to escape to and enjoy, where I don't have to think about this stuff like for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is in literally just about every aspect of life now. Like you can't like throw your trash away without like it being some sort of political statement now, and uh, it's nuts.
Yeah, agreed. All right, let's transition into the next bit of news. It's kind of on the same theme that we are talking about with like California opening up, and basically the idea of like sticks and carrots. Just recently, this crazy ass doctor lady went on and basically said, it's like, oh, the states can't open up because then how are we gonna get people to take the vaccine? It's like she said the
That's
quiet part loud. And she said like, oh, we only have a small window to tie reopening with what is it? Vaccine, or basically make having a condition to open up with after taking the vaccine.
now, and I'm not an anti-vaxer. I'm not one of those guys because I
Of course not.
know that like there's been some good, a lot of good that's been done to that. But what I absolutely reject, because to me like this is all some sort of something. There's something more at play, because they're pushing this way too hard. It's like you have to get the vaccine. Like how are we need, and but the fact is like they're also doing this whole thing where it's like you need to get the vaccine, and if you don't get the vaccine, like otherwise life won't go back to normal. But actually, like when you get the vaccine, you still gotta wear the mask because of this. It's like, well, what is it like? Is the vaccine like actually like gonna help us? Does it do nothing?
Right. It's like telling someone, oh, wear sunblock or you're gonna get a sunburn. But even after you put on the sunblock, you're still gonna get a sunburn.
Yeah, it's
That
like,
that's
well,
what that
then
that's what
it's
they're
useless.
saying. That's what they're saying. So you're saying that the sunblock is useless? It's like no, no, no. You still definitely should put it on, but you're still gonna get sunburn. It's like what?
Yeah, put this like this concoction that we're gonna shoot into your arm, and yeah, it's all a okay.
Well,
It's
yeah,
like
and that's another part of it that not a lot of people are talking about, or even like the news is talking about it, or uh, making the distinction. But this this vaccine, because 2 out of the 3 vaccines that are out right now, at least in the U.S., are not even like vaccines in the traditional sense, where they're giving you like a dead or inactive piece of the virus to have your you know body's own immune system to create antibodies. Um, but this is all this is all an experimental new technology. Using mRNA, messenger RNA. It's the DNA. It's the part of your DNA sequence that holds like all the information essentially. And this the Pfizer and the Moderna one are the ones where it's like it doesn't like cause your body to have like that immune response and create antibodies, but just tells like certain genes not to turn off or on or off, so that your body doesn't have such a severe reaction to the virus.
yeah, see that's where I'm like, so someone like, and especially someone like in our age group, because we're not really in a whole lot of danger. We
Hmm.
don't have like a whole lot of, you and I don't necessarily have a whole lot of health problems.
Right.
I have not had. I mean, I haven't had a flu in 4 or 5 years at this point. Like, and
Yeah.
the last
And
time I
yeah. And
did have the
again,
flu,
I can't even remember if I ever even had a flu.
yeah, like, well, and I don't, I would kind of sort of categorize it as the flu, though. Like, it lasted a day, and I
Hmm.
was fine the next day. It's I, so I've never had, because I don't believe in this stupid asymptomatic, spread and all that shit. Like,
Right.
I
No.
think
Like
that's
there.
all.
Yeah. It's so funny because like again, here's like the wizardry that they're trying to pull off on us. When they say asymptomatic, you know, that means healthy.
They're all trying to turn us into Typhoid Mary. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
they're
yeah.
they're
But yeah,
trying to do.
but again, like that's the spellcraft that they're trying to do. They turn asymptomatic to mean like, oh, that you could still spread it. But no, it's like, if it doesn't mean that you're sick though. You're still healthy.
Yeah,
And what is it? Asymptomatic spread has never been a vector for spread. Like they've done studies on this. Like there hasn't been like asymptomatic spread has not been a primary vector of spread of disease.
and yeah, so there's that. I've never believed in that. I have not been sick, not as far as like anything related, virus related,
Hmm.
since this whole thing started. And honestly, neither has my wife, and her immune system is not great, to be honest.
Hmm.
But like, she's been completely fine like the entire time.
Yeah, no, it's
So
like yeah, this entire time like I've been kind of I haven't been going around licking doorknobs or nothing, but I've been going out, I've been meeting people, I've been socializing and things like that, and like for an entire year, and not, and I haven't gotten sick once. But my
yeah,
parents are like, but now my parents are starting to get up on me about getting the vaccine or whatever, and just like why I'm fine. There's my
it's
like
like, why would I like inject this thing that I because every time like I've gotten like one, because they're always talking like, oh, you need to get the flu shot and all this stuff like that. It's like, I the last time I got it is because, well, I had no choice. I was in boot camp. Like, they
mhm.
forced,
Right, right, yeah.
that was almost 20 years ago now. And
Hmm.
they had there are certain like inoculations we had to get. We got a flu shot, and immediately I got the fucking, like, I was sick as a dog. And it's like, I swore from then on, it's like, I am never getting one of these fucking things again, because I'm literally injecting myself to be sick. That's what it is.
Right.
And
Yeah. I mean, you're
if
doing
I
it.
and
You're
if
giving. Yeah. You're giving it to yourself. Yeah. It's a inactive or dead strand of that
right,
pathogen, but it's like you're still giving it to yourself.
and I'm not like I said, I'm not an anti-vaccine guy. Like I
Yeah.
understand some
Neither am
people
I.
not some people need it, and my parents got this thing. They are fine. Nothing really like happened to them or anything, so that's good. And but my parents are in that age bracket where it's like I'm actually okay with them getting it, because I think it's probably something that they should have. But someone like my age, like who hasn't been sick the entire time, and I'm pretty much been shaking hands and kissing babies essentially, like with where I work, and, and
Right.
it's like I'm fine, and everyone kind of asked me like, oh, are you gonna get it? It's like honestly, like I don't think so. And the other thing why I'm so dead set against this, not only are they pushing us away, it's like they want to start doing these whole like the vaccine like passport shit. And I was like,
Right.
okay, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And I know like a lot of people will go like, oh, mark of the beast, mark of the beast. But I want to, but
No, it's
I
not
want, I don't,
that.
no, no,
It's
I know, no, 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 no. Yeah, but I want to take it to a less intense level and just reference another thing in the Bible, which is the circumcision party.
oh right, that's right. The
You know,
the
it,
Judaizers.
exactly, exactly. For those of you unaware or unfamiliar with the Bible, um, early in the church's history, there was a group of people who thought that, who still like kind of held on to like the old traditions or old laws, and they're telling like these new Christians like, oh no, you have to be circumcised or you can't be saved.
Yeah, they were
Um,
essentially
so
telling them that like if you to be a real Christian, you had to follow all the old Jewish customs, despite the fact that like those had all been kind of pushed aside.
right, yeah, with the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, you know, all of those statutes or
Had been fulfilled.
had been fulfilled through Jesus' death and resurrection. So like they're essentially doing the gospel plus, and that's what this the vaccine passport is. That's what it is. It's like, oh yeah, it's like, no, 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 you can come back, to society. Oh, but you have to get this. And I mean, yeah, and I know it's more Mark of the Beastie, but like it's really more of like the circumcision party.
It's just
And it's funny because like
yeah.
I've heard this kind of talk amongst people like within my own church, saying like, oh, like I remember this one kid was saying like, oh, because we were kind of talking about maybe schedule, planning some sort of getaway. Um, and he was like saying like, oh yeah, let's all get the vaccine, and then we can go and we can go go to this place, so we can go on this little getaway. I was like, no,
Or here's the thing that we can do. We can just go.
yeah, we could just go, and if no, and
Yeah,
if like and if like and it's again, it's just like if someone especially like a hotel or like Airbnb, they make it a condition of you staying there, then you just don't stay there or you don't stay with that person, you know.
yeah.
And if like everyone starts making that a prerequisite for you to go and do Airbnb or go to a hotel, or then screw it, just don't go anywhere, you know.
I don't want to give those type of people
Yeah, I
my
don't want to
money.
give
I
people. I don't
want
want to give people money who are gonna like hold something over my head for me to participate within society. It's just
yeah.
like I'm sorry.
No, I was saying it's just another. It's going to be another one of those like virtue signaling things, like the masks have been, like the all these things, and like in society is like, oh, it's become a new religion in a sense, like whatever the new fad is that like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
if
yeah.
you
No,
don't
you're
have
right.
this,
Yeah,
you're not a good person.
Fauci's the Pope. Fauci's the Pope. The mask is the rosary, and the sanitizer, the hand sanitizer is the holy water.
Praise be unto him, of course.
I'll be his name. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, and it's like the reason why so many people are like falling for this is because they don't have anything else. Like there is no bigger thing above certain people, or a certain amount of people. It's like they because they either reject religion or they reject a god or whatever. So there's nothing bigger than them over. There's nothing bigger than them above them. So there's nothing for them to like put their faith into. So like so whatever's not there, so whoever decides to get up on a ladder is the thing that they're gonna look up to.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I've been hearing like a lot of stuff now, like where people who had kind of been like listening to like a Dr. Fauci and like you kind of he's doing he's trying his best, and it's like people are starting to like wake up now. It's like, wow, this guy's I was dumb. This guy's full of shit. It's like, welcome to the party, pal. Like we've been saying.
I know,
for,
like, and it's so funny because people think that like that people on the right or even just like more like kind of like skeptical or critical thinkers are gonna be like vicious to them the same way that they were vicious to other people. But a lot of times this that's not even the case. It's like hey man, welcome to the fun side. Welcome to the freedom
like...
side. It's just like it's so welcoming over on this side. It's like people's like, oh yeah, yeah. And he's like, hey, it's all good. You don't a lot of the attitude is like, hey man, it's all good. You're only doing what you thought was right, but it's all good.
Yeah.
But let's say that someone was going the other way. It would be constantly like kiss like lick my boots until I say when.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
I mean, not to say that it'll ever happen, but if someone was going to go to the other side, yeah, that's how it'd be. It'd be like lick my boots until I say when, which is forever.
I've been saying this a lot recently, but we live in the fucking dumbest timeline. I just.
I know, seriously.
Just.
We gotta pull our own time heist or whatever, unsnap or whatever.
Yeah, as someone that looks at a lot of history, reads a lot of history, all that stuff, and you see how this is. We're at a unique part of history, like where for a time we've had a lot of liberty and freedom that have that are ours to have, but we've been just giving it away because it's scary liberty, and it just, I've never thought I would ever see a point where no one ever, it seems like, especially on the left, ever questions the government in any way.
Yeah, I mean, I said it before, but the left is trying to be the main culture and the subculture. And you can't do that. You can't fight against yourself. And I think we've all recognized or accepted that the left is the main culture. And it's just, but it's just like the left doesn't still for some reason they still don't see themselves as the winners or like the ones in charge.
Yeah, it's
so like I mean that's why they're constantly eating. That's why the phrase like eating your own is so prevalent on the left. I mean, just recently there was a school up in like Central or like Northern California that was like named Jefferson, and there was a proposal to rename it like after Barack Obama. But the school was like had like a really high like Hispanic or Latino was one of high Hispanic or Latino community.
Yeah.
And they were attacking Obama for his his immigration policy back when he was first president.
Yeah, honestly, like I saw this like, okay, you know what, I'm okay with that. Like, it's like fine. you know, I don't like the fact that they're taking Thomas Jefferson's names down, but you know what? I'm glad they're not giving it to this crook either.
Yeah. Bathhouse Barry.
It's funny because I think they are catering to a mistruth, and you know, obviously, you know, Thomas Jefferson has his issues, obviously, but like overall, the man did a lot of great things. But then at the same time, they also see the truth in, like, you know, the holy Obama, you know, that like where the media just was, you know, enraptured by, you know, his, you know, whatever his charm was, and they're like, yeah, no, that's all bullshit. It's like I'm so like I'm intrigued by these people at some point.
Right? I know. It's like, whoa.
So weird.
You know, it's like every so often, like, you know, Piers Morgan, even though I hate him, he like says something like pretty base. I was like, oh, okay, Piers Morgan. You know, and I give him credit.
I hate it because like I hate Piers Morgan too, but like there's every once in a while, like he stumbles into like saying something correct. I'm like, oh jeez, why do I have to defend this guy now?
I know, you know, it's. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of the reaction I get from a lot. Like, yeah, like that time, I agree with Whoopi Goldberg. I was like, God damn it.
Yeah.
I hate Whoopi Goldberg, but she said something based. So credit where credit's due.
Yeah, it's a weird place to be in sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that was a. We live in such a weird time.
I know, seriously. And I mean, I don't completely hate Whoopi Goldberg. She is a big part of my like childhood, like Sister Act or
Ghost,
or she did a lot of stuff that I liked. That I grew up watching.
Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, she was Guinan, the very wise, bartender.
Dude, I mean, that's easily her best role.
Seriously, like I remember when that episode, The Drumhead, where that one
great episode.
That's a great episode when she. No. That was a great episode, but the wisdom that she gave was Measure of a Man, where they were trying to adjudicate whether Data was a person.
Yeah, that was
a great one, and the small bit of wisdom that she gave to Picard was Data right now Data is a singular individual, but what happens when you make more of them, and obviously the purpose to make more of Data is to make the lives of organic people better. And then it's like, oh, what does that become? It's like she points out like, oh, all throughout history, there's always been disposable people, and it's like slavery.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, history will judge us how we treat, Data and how we treat, all those who come after him. And so. Yeah. And so that was such and that was so great. That was such the perfect argument.
That was one of the brilliant diatribes from the Next Generation, and just like it was just wow, that's powerful right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like, because right now, because at that moment, Data was the only android in existence. But if the scientist who wanted to take him away and experiment on him was able to create an entire line of Datas, he'd be effectively creating a race.
Yep.
And all the capabilities of Data, and Picard does this really great thing about having him having the scientists prove that Picard was a sentient being but not Data, and he went through the criterias, and it's like who are you to say?
Yeah.
And it's again, I know a lot of people. There's a lot of people. Even within Star Trek, there's some debate on like what was the better series or whatever, but I think it was all good.
Yeah,
Because
yeah. I mean, I obviously like. I mean, I love the original series, but like the next generation has so many great moments too.
right, yeah, and I mean, even though I've seen the original series, I grew up with the Next Generation, so it's kind of my Star Trek. But then also my favorite Star Trek is Deep Space Nine.
I keep hearing that. I have not. I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, and my favorite captain is Captain Sisko.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you
Yeah,
told me
from
that.
DS9. Yeah, we got it. Okay, we're gonna watch DS9. All right, you're gonna understand why I love it so much.
Yeah, sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
I
that's all I got.
do we have any other topics that we are going to talk about today? I don't have any that I can think of.
Yeah, no, I think we pretty much covered it.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I was telling you is like it feels like there's all these like it's the same battles that we've been talking about for like quite a while. And not that they're not important, they are like and it's they deserve to be fought, but it just feels like it's the same, you know, same problems but new places, new faces almost in a
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
of
yeah,
ways.
yeah. Right.
And it's just
Same shit, different day.
but I think though what also we're seeing too is um, especially like when it comes to the quote supposed conservative uh, you know elected officials and stuff. It's like I think we're starting to see it's like, oh, okay, that guy needs to go, that guy needs to go, we need to get
Oh
something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
And hopefully like people are, especially when it comes at least on the conservative side, that it's like, oh, these people are not on our side, these people like are don't like hold our values, we need to vote them away.
Yeah, they don't have our best interests at heart. So yeah, time to give them the old Hilo.
What some people consider, they call them court jester conservatives, so it's like where they play good argument, but then like their job is to pretty much fold and fail.
Yeah, they're the Washington Generals.
Yeah, like when they have power they do jack shit, and they but then like when
Yeah, I mean,
they have no power
which was demonstrated the first 2 years of Trump's presidency. Up until the what is it, the primaries. When the Republicans had the executive, the House of Representatives, and the Senate.
Yeah, yeah.
They had complete and total power, and yet they did jack shit.
They did fucking nothing at all. I was so furious. It's like we have a chance to like restore some of our dignity and to this country, and we chose to do dilly squat. Okay, awesome.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, well, it's like the Republicans under Obama for like 8 years, saying like, oh yeah, well, or maybe not 8 years. I think Obamacare was introduced in his second term.
Oh, he rammed that through like in between like his first and second term, like in the cover of darkness.
Oh right, okay. So like yeah, sort like the end of his first and beginning of his second. But yeah,
Yeah.
like that entire time, the Republicans say, "Oh yeah, we have something new. Like as soon as we get power, we're gonna swap it out. We're gonna put something in new." And Trump got in, and all of a sudden it's like, "Oh yeah," he's like, "I don't think it's the time to mess around with things like that." And it's like, motherfucker, you said that as soon as you gained power again, you were gonna replace what is it? Repeal and replace.
Yeah,
And then
it's
just and the time came. You got a Republican president. It just wasn't the Republican president you wanted.
Well, it wasn't the honorable like Mitt Romney or like McCain or anybody like that. So like it's just
Yeah.
frustrating.
Like a neocon. Yeah. I mean,
oh
yeah,
boy.
again, yeah.
What
20. Last year was 20 of 2020 vision.
Yep. And
now it's the year of the blackjack.
That's yep. Well, why don't we get to the movie review then?
All right. All right, that's it. That'll be it for us. But yeah, you'll see us in a quick second. Where get that. We'll get the review up and rolling for you guys. Um, it's weird because I say all I say all the outro stuff in the pre-tape too. So do I say it now or do we just say goodbye?
I think we just let we let the past Andy send us off with that stuff.
All right. All right. Well, guys. Yeah. Here's the movie review. I hope you guys enjoy, and we'll see you next week. All right, there, jerk faces. Welcome to our movie review for this month. This month's theme is guest month, and I'm happy to introduce y'all. If you haven't watched the main podcast and his episode, be sure to do that as well. I might actually link it down in the bottom in the description. But tonight's guest is a good friend of Robert's and a friend of the podcast, David Blake.
Yes, sir.
How y'all guys doing?
We're doing great. Being a guest month, the guest picks the movie to review, and David has picked Law Abiding Citizen, starring Gerard Butler and Jamie Foxx. Let me read the synopsis here, and then we can get into our movie review. All right. Clyde Shelton is an honorable family man until the day his wife and daughter are murdered in a home invasion. He hopes for justice, but a rising prosecutor named Nick Rice cuts a deal with one of the killers in exchange for testimony. 10 years later, that man is found dead, and Shelton coolly admits his guilt. Then he hands Rice an ultimatum: fix the broken legal system or suffer the consequences. All right. Yeah, a lot of people might not remember this movie. It came out in 2009. But I think it fell under the radar a bit.
Well, I was looking at like some of the films that came out around that time. Like you had District 9, which was a really good movie. Another underrated movie that came out around that time.
Right.
I think there was another a couple of other big movies that came out right around the same time, and it really just fell under the radar. And it's one of those films that it's ratioed on Rotten Tomatoes, where the critics hated it, but everyone else loved it,
right.
which means it's a good movie.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think the only the reason why the critics hated it and stuff is because it was more or less of, the legal system messed up in the eyes of the government. Everybody's like, oh, we really that's like a taboo. You don't talk about the legal system when it comes to, especially putting it out there that, oh yeah, we messed up. Nowadays it's like, oh yeah, they really screwed up.
Right. Well, yeah. Let me get into the first questions. Like, why did you pick this movie for us to review, David?
Well, ever since it's come out, it's one movie that's always stuck in my head. Because you gotta think, family man. He was a good man, and then the legal system did him wrong. Yeah. His wife and daughter were murdered, and he just cracked underneath the pressure, especially of seeing that, like in the synopsis, it says that Jamie Foxx, turned around and cut a deal with one of the murderers, and he cut a deal with the wrong fella.
God, yes, he did.
Right, yeah, because it's hilarious. I forget what. Oh yeah, it's the line from Training Day. Jamie Foxx's character gives him the line from Training Day. It's like, it's not what you can prove. It's not what you know. It's what you can prove.
What you can prove.
Yeah.
And
that line has been coming up in a couple of movies that we've watched recently, Andy. Yeah, and once again, it proves how great Training Day is.
Yeah. But it's like, it was more or less of like, to me, it hits home. My daughter hasn't been killed. She's still alive. I have 4 wonderful children, but it was more, it's always, in every parent's, in the back of every parent's head when you're divorced, or when, your kids go out of the house or something, that's something that's always in the back of your head is, oh my God, she's leaving or he's leaving. What's going to happen if I get a knock on the door in the middle of the night and it's a police officer and they're standing there? Or,
right. Yeah, she's leaving. Yeah, she's leaving your watchful eye and going out into the world, and like, what sick bastard,
Right. And in this case, they ordered, food, and when Gerard Butler opened up the door, he got cracked in the face with a baseball bat.
Thank God for Ring.
Yeah, I know. Right. I know. I still need to get me one of those.
When I get a house, that is like the first thing I'm gonna get.
It's just so handy, It's just like instantly have a camera on them. Get make sure you get their face, just in case.
But it made it made me more like watching this movie. It made me more aware of, as a parent, what I should be looking out for mainly, pretty much, and what and why I shouldn't. I'm glad that I grew up a long time ago, instead of waiting until having kids and then and then growing up. Because when I was younger, I was an ass. I was rash. I didn't,
judging by Robert's laughter, he kind of believes you're still an ass.
Well, he's still kind of an ass, but he's a lovable ass.
But I'm more lovable now than what I was back then.
Right, yeah. Some of the rougher edges have been worn down over time.
Because if somebody would have done, if somebody would have came in, tried to do that in my house, they would have cracked me in my face, either knocked me out. Him laying on the floor, not moving, there would have been no way. I would have struggled to get back up, whatever. They would have literally had to kill me before they killed them.
Yeah.
It would have been a fight. But, to me, it was always, him protecting the memories of his wife and his daughter after, especially because, in the synopsis, it says, they were murdered, but it doesn't say that they were raped either.
Yeah.
In the movie, they said they were both, the wife and the daughter were raped.
Right.
And, I can't stand a person who wants to touch a kid, let alone do something like that to a female.
Yeah. Well, and in this movie, kind of like, it felt like a mixture of things that I've enjoyed too. Like, it kind of felt like a little bit like Wind River, meets, 24 meets, what's the other, and Dexter in a little bit, like, yeah.
It was,
right. It did, this movie does shine a light on kind of the, I don't want to say broken, but often hinky justice system. Where,
it's a thing that can, it can work. It's meant to protect people, but it's at the same time, there's very smart people that find ways around.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right, which Gerard Butler's character does go into, showing that, when initially he gets arrested and he supposedly gives his confession, but he uses very vague language. Not necessarily admitting to the crime, but he's, like when he said, like, oh, like, when Jamie Foxx's character is like, oh, did you, kill, the character Darby, and it's like, oh, I was thinking, I've been thinking about it over and over for like 10 years, and that's like one of the points where it's like, he admitted to, thinking about it, and and like planning it in his head, but he didn't
Which is
come, but he didn't
important.
explicitly say, yes, I killed Darby.
Right.
So it's like one of those little, one of those little loopholes that's within the system that he's able to exploit.
Right. And see, the one thing that killed me was before all this is, they do the cutscene where they're doing the plea bargain with Darby,
Mm-hmm.
talking about Ames and how, no man should do that to a woman or a child, and he deserves what he gets. And to me, like I told Robert earlier, is like that dude didn't do nothing. He was there as an accomplice to a robbery or a home invasion, and then the dude, Darby's the one who stabbed the husband, stabbed the wife, raped the wife and raped the little girl, and his DNA gets dropped through the whole case, and the other dude's DNA wasn't even there.
Yeah, and like he was able to like and Darby, who is one slippery fuck, but he was able to kind of like he essentially threw his guy under the his partner under the bus.
Yep.
And
No honor amongst thieves,
like the punishment that should have been like reserved for Darby. Had it been the other way around, I think and knowing what like Gerard Butler's character saw, Clyde Shelton saw, I think he would have been okay with that because like that guy didn't do anything, really. And once Darby started doing the stuff that he was doing, he's like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, this is not what we're here to do."
Because you got to think when they went,
the guy recoiled in horror. It's still like he deserves some jail time, but not what Darby. It should have been reversed. But Darby was like,
Ames got to 10 years in lethal injection, and then Darby got 3 years and was put on probation. To me, that's
and also I think, what was it? The reason why the DNA evidence got thrown out is because I think like somehow like the crime scene got compromised, or like the chain of custody from like the police to like the lab was broken or something. Some sort of like legal technicality,
right,
that made the DNA evidence inadmissible in court.
Which is like what like affected Jamie Foxx's character, Nick Rice, where he's like, had you guys not fucked up the crime scene, like we wouldn't have this problem, and it's like, and I feel bad for Nick Rice because yes, he was kind of an arrogant guy, but I think like he's like, listen, like I was with him. It's like, listen, like there's some justice. It's not perfect, but like if we go to trial, there's a good chance that both these guys go free. And like, is that what you want? And I did what I could to make sure that something happens to these guys.
Right.
And like I said, I felt like Nick Rice's character, while arrogant at the beginning of the movie, I felt bad for him because he's kind of in like a lose-lose position.
Right.
He was.
Yeah, and
like,
I think
honestly, like, I don't think that Gerard, Clyde, I don't think it was his any of his intention to do anything to Nick at all. He was just trying to make him into a better person anyway.
I think that was true too. Like because even he always talked about like, I believe in you. Like it just I'm pushing you this direction because you need to see, what I saw.
Yes.
Right, because it's and even like when after the funeral, that before the funeral scene where he kind of makes that confession to like his like mentor or whatever, and like saying like, oh, I came in this thinking that I was going to change the system, but the system ended up changing me.
Right.
Yep.
And that's a and that's a powerful realization for someone to realize about themselves. It's like I had all these good intentions, I wanted to do good, but the system, the system like kind of ended up corrupting me in a sense.
Yeah, and the sad part is it actually took so long for him to realize it and everything. That's to me that was the sad part.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that was dying around him and stuff, that was the other kicker too, that I believe too. Just like, his friend Sarah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Sarah, and then his mentor too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But before the mentor died and stuff, you got to think is he didn't start realizing it until Sarah brought it up and was like, did we really do the right thing? Did you really do the right thing years ago,
Mm-hmm.
or did you do the wrong thing? And Nick turned around. Jamie Foxx's character was like, I did what was right. And then by the time it was, the funeral scene, it was like, he completely did a, 180 and was like, maybe I really did mess up years ago.
Yeah, you start to see like some of the regrets that like he develops as a character over the course of the movie, and he's just like, I think he's like, it's he does believe that he did the best that he could, but I think he starts to realize like what Gerard Butler's character, Clyde was trying to show him is that like the system is broken, and like there's things that you need to think through before it's not just about getting the conviction rate, it's about trying to do the right thing.
Yep.
And
Right.
honestly,
What
I
I
think
think
like,
Gerard Butler was trying to, or Gerard Butler's character was saying is like, it doesn't matter like if the street, if you know where all the potholes on a street are. Like the point is to not have potholes on the street.
right, because I think like had at the beginning of the movie, had he like at least tried to go after both these guys,
Mm-hmm.
and not like cut a deal and lost, I don't think there would have been a movie. Like I think it would have ended there, because like, hey, you know what, at least you tried, and
Right.
maybe
Yeah,
but like it's, but I don't think he would have I don't think it would have been a very different movie at that point.
Right, and then Gerard Butler's character, Clyde, he even says like, "Hey, like if we like went at him like with both guns, and we lost, I could have lived with it.
Yeah, I could have respected you.
Yeah, I could have respected the outcome, like and I could have walked away knowing that you actually gave everything you could to try and like stop these guys."
Because at the time, Nick was only caring about more of like his career and his conviction rate as far instead of like actually getting rid of bad guys.
Right.
Because like he was bragging to his mentor, or hold on, I had a brain fart. No, yeah,
Jonas was his mentor. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. He was bragging to his mentor about how he had a 96 percentile, rate.
Yeah, conviction rate.
Yeah, and to me, personally, if I'm going through some legal stuff right now, but if I ever were to hear my attorney turn around and was like, "Oh yeah, I have a 96 percentile, turnover rate and all that crap," I'm going to another attorney. I don't want somebody to boast about how good his stats are. I want somebody to do the damn job and do what they can do. I would respect that more.
Exactly.
But like by the end of the movie, that's honestly why I started respecting, Nick's character more, because it developed so much over the movie. Even though he's pushed to develop, but it was my respect.
Yeah. The the thing that it's this movie too, like because with Clyde's him in the movie, I was like, to be honest, I will say I kind of felt bad for Ames because I don't think he deserved anything that he got. He should have just done like 3 years in prison, or had like obviously some like probation and like all this stuff like that, and like been on his way. He
Right.
really got.
Well, yeah. I mean, if we're gonna kind of magic wand this thing, yeah, Ames should have gotten the sentence that Darby got, and Darby should have gotten Ames. Ames
like that. So
sentence.
in a sense, I feel a little bit bad for Ames, but I understand like what Clyde was doing. Is like, you know what? Fuck all these people. I'm gonna take them all out, and they're gonna feel like the pain and like that I'm feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was definitely with him with what he did to Darby. Fuck that guy. He deserved everything that he got and worse.
Like me, I when I was watching it, like I'll never forget the very first time I watched it, because it was a movie that was different, that I nothing I'd ever seen before, and to watch, like I'm a huge horror fan. I love gore. I love horror, but this was more like a family revenge movie type situation.
It felt a little bit like Death Wish in a sense, where it's like
Right.
it felt that satisfying with like the death of these people.
But when you're watching, because in a sense, the state will pay, people think, oh, it takes thousands of dollars to do a lethal injection. All the chemicals cost is $1.83 for a damn lethal injection. Nobody understands that crap.
Yeah.
Ah, really? Is that?
Yeah.
Literally, that's how much the chemicals that they use.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's incredibly cheap.
Yeah, for the chemicals, it's literally for all the chemicals that they need to give you a lethal injection. It's $1. It's like $1.83 to almost $2. Yep.
Wow. Damn. Then what the hell are we paying like so much taxes for?
Like, well, and that that's the thing with death row is like honestly that's the cruel and unusual punishment. Like letting a guy sit there for 30 years before they kill him.
Well, yeah. In the case of this movie, it was 10 years, but
yeah, like give the guy like a couple of appeals. If like he's and if he's really innocent, like maybe like find something. But after that, like sorry,
you're done.
Well, then I guess that's why they do like keep them on ice for so long, is so that they do have that time to exhaust all of their their legal
avenues and stuff.
Yeah. Like, give the guy two. I'll say 3 appeals. Give the guy 3 appeals. If he doesn't make it in 3 appeals, I'm sorry, you're guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, like because the justice, everyone thinks that that the justice system like moves so swiftly, but yeah, it moves at a glacial pace.
It moves at a glacial pace.
Oh yeah, man. It's more like a snail.
I'll take some frontier justice any day. The hang, it's like if a guy's gonna hang, it's like, hey, you know what, like that's the quickest way to like find God. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but it's like watching Ames sit there on that table though, and then you see, the liquids get pushed down, and then you sit there and watch it, and he starts freaking out and stuff.
And like all his blood vessels are breaking and shit, and he's like bleeding out. Oh my god, that was horrifying.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, and a little tiny air bubble in there, just like oh.
Oh no, that's not what killed him. It was acid.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a combination of the thing, because like he switched the chemicals and because the air bubble, like it made him have an aneurysm.
The air bubbles, that's not really going to push through the machine like that. The acid will actually push through that.
That's why his like blood vessels like broke and
that's right. Yeah. The first time I watched it, I was like wondering, or even like just recently when I watched it again, I was wondering why like there's like the blood spot forming like around like on his chest, like where his heart would be.
His body melted.
Yeah, his body basically melted from the inside. But it's interesting that
Like if you
I
have
mean, kind of not to telegraph too much, but 'cause we haven't gotten there yet. But it's kind of interesting that uh, there's kind of like a biblical thing going on with the two criminals like Ames and Darby. You know, Ames, you know, kind of admits that yes, you know, I do deserve to be in prison. I know, I know I have to. You know, I know some, I have punishment coming to me, but not this,
This is
not
too
this
much.
way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in a weird way, it's kind of biblical, where Ames is kind of like that repentant criminal
Sinner.
on the cross, where he says like, oh, we deserve this, but this man is innocent, and and then Darby is the unrepentant criminal.
Yep. But it was like, what was it? Like I was telling Robert is watching that and thinking of as being a parent, dude.
I understand.
Honestly, if I could get away with something like that, I definitely would.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't we all? Wouldn't we all?
Yeah. No, like I said, I was with him to a point, and then I was like, I felt like Clyde carried it maybe a little too far, like where it's like, I was with him like to the point, even like up to like the judge, I was with him, and then after that, I was like, because I think a lot of people that died that probably shouldn't have.
The legal team and stuff, I don't think that should have happened, and I'll say I wasn't up for him with that, but the judge,
the
up until
defense
the
attorney,
judge,
and then Ames and Darby. Yeah, okay, you know what? I'm up to definitely, but after that, I was like, all right, come on, like I think everyone suffered enough.
Yeah.
I think it's a message.
Yeah, the only thing I would disagree with is just like the method. Well, like just like the method, because I think torture is there's too much of an intimacy there when you torture somebody.
Yeah,
And,
oh yeah.
And I just it's just another way of getting that person inside in your head and in your soul. So
Well, Darby
I would
definitely
have well Darby even though Darby is a piece of shit person, I think it would have been fine if he had like done like the whole like paralyzing thing and then shot him in the head. Because again, I don't think like because there's like you don't want any more of this person in your psyche or in your soul. So I think it would have been. I think, in my opinion, I think it would have been better if he just like after he like paralyzed him, he should just shot him in the head and walked away.
Honestly, if it was like my wife, or if I have a daughter and that happened, honestly, like I don't think Darby suffered enough. That's just me. Yeah. I'm sorry. Like
I mean, I'm not I'm not married and I'm not a father, so I can't speak to that.
And 100%, like if that happened to me, I would do the same, and I could get away with it. I'm doing the same fucking thing.
I will say this as a parent, and as a parent of a daughter and a son, and I will say this to anybody that does not think, like, I'm not taking a stab at people that don't have kids. I'm taking a stab at people that do have children. If there's not a thought in your head ever that if your child ever gets hurt by somebody, that you wouldn't do something to that person that sadistic, you need to go check yourself into a hospital, talk to a shrink, because I'm going to tell you right now, somebody were to ever lay their hands on my child like Darby did to Clyde's daughter and kill her, he'd be digging me a basement. He'd be tied up to a pole, and I would cut pieces of skin off of him and cauterize it until I was satisfied. And I would keep him alive every day until I was done. I cannot stand for somebody to hurt a child like that. The people that do in this world will definitely have to stand in front of God Himself and answer for their sins.
You know, I like I said, I've talked, you know, on, you know,
Me
through like
personally,
our live streams, like, yeah, I honestly, pedophiles should be dead. And, you know, it's just because there's no healing that.
yeah.
It's a dark, sadistic.
Me personally, I will stand in front of God Himself. I will stand in front of a judge, and I will say, and I will smile and say, yes, the asshole deserved it. The person deserved it, plain and simple.
Yeah, like I said, it's, you know, it's one of those things where, like, yeah, if that happened to me, you know, I'll take the, you know, if I have to serve life in prison afterwards, so be it.
Yep.
I will take that punishment, you know, with a smile on my face.
Because, like, for example, there's a y'all probably heard about him. There's a fella in Texas who his daughter was raped. He came home. He walked in on it, and he actually killed the fella. And he's actually sitting in prison right now. The dude broke into his home, raped his daughter, and was still raping her when he was coming home from work. He killed him, called the cops, and told the cops that he killed him. And he's sitting in prison right now.
That's not justice.
Yeah.
No,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, totally justified. Like, go, like, full Sam Jackson on them, you know, time to kill. It's like, yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell, you know?
Well, in Texas, again, years ago, there was actually a man who found out that his daughter was raped by a black guy. Mm-hmm. And the fella actually got away with it. He actually beat the living shit out of this dude and drug him down the road behind his truck. The black boy was tied up. Now, I really don't agree with that part. You know, you don't. Yeah, okay, tie somebody up, torture them, you know, kill them, whatever, but you don't drag him around town and parade his body around like this fella did. I don't agree with that.
That's a little bit much. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yeah, that's a little. That's one pinky toe over the line for me. Okay. Okay. The conclusion of this movie. Thoughts?
Oh, it's beautiful.
You know, honestly, like, I'll say, like, it's this movie was, I like the end, because I think everyone kind of, like, it all played out the way it should have. You know, Nick developed as a person. Like, he realized that, like, he messed up, and because of his mistake, even from, like, you know, he had consequences for his actions that ended up, you know, getting so many people killed. And it's like, and he changed as a person. You know, I even made the, you know, the point where I thought one of the funniest moments of the movie where, you know, he's like finding his properties and, you know, realizing like what Clyde had done, and, you know, he's breaking into one of his properties. It's like, what about his civil rights? Fuck his civil rights. You know, it's like it was a great moment. And at the same time, like, you know, Clyde, who I think was justified in, especially in killing Darby, you know, but he stepped over the line too, and he deserved his consequences as well. Like, you know, he ended up getting, you know, having his smarts used against him, and he ended up dying, which I think is appropriate for the film.
Yep.
And
well, yeah, that's one thing I liked about, like, how he kind of, like, you know, it was almost beautiful in the way that he, like, understood, like, you know, he had, like, become the monster that he wanted. He wanted, like, he became the monster that he wanted to destroy, and it was almost beautiful how he was kind of, like, resigned to the fact that he was gonna die, because
I think he was happy. To be honest, I think he was happy that it happened.
No, yeah, because he he was at peace with himself because he realized that he was that monster, and like he had to die because like if he was gonna kill these monsters for what they had done, then I think he understood that that he had to die himself, and that's why like I love that shot of him just like as the flames start coming coming into his cell, where he's just like on the bed clutching the bracelet that his daughter made for him, and then he allows himself to be
I think he was satisfied
consumed by the fire.
Yeah,
but like one of the parts that I liked and stuff, and it kind of it tripped me out was the dude standing in the tunnel talking to Nick and his mentor, and the fellow was like, look, he's playing chess with y'all, and y'all are playing checkers.
Oh yeah,
yeah, 100%. That guy, he's been in a bunch of those like type of like kind of like spy, kind of cloak and dagger type of cinema, and he's great in that role.
Yep.
It's
like the guy turned around and told Nick, he was like, because Nick was like, oh, we have him in solitary confinement. He was like, look, if he's in solitary confinement, it's because he wants to be there. It's not because you're making him be there. It's because he's choosing to be there.
Yeah, he's making moves to make you put him in there, and that's where he wants to be. And he's like, oh, that guy, that the cellmate that he killed, that like that was a deliberate move.
Oh yeah, but it's like I agree with Andy and stuff when it comes to the end of the movie. Is he was completely at peace because he finally made Nick understand that the justice system was broke the way he was thinking back 10 years ago. He needed to change, and he hasn't changed. So he helped him push and develop his character, and then all of a sudden he lays back, presses the send button, and then sits up real quick and looks underneath the bed and sees that briefcase is underneath there that's full of nitroglycerin. And then he's like, well, I got 15 seconds. Lays back down, smiles, and starts playing with his daughter's bracelet, and is engulfed in flames.
Yeah, and I think he was happy that he got outsmarted.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And it was, to me, it was almost like, him saying, okay, I'm now I was chasing the monster. I became the monster. Now it's time to put the monster.
And yeah, like I said, this was a movie that I had not heard of, that I had missed when it came out. I'm glad that I watched it, and this is a good movie. Like I said, it's got a little bit of everything. It's got some drama. It's got some action. Honestly, it's a tragic poem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
This movie is a lot. It has a lot of poetry in it, and this movie, like you said, it was panned by the critics, but the audience loved it, and there's a reason for that, because I think especially for David as a parent and as a husband and a father. I'm a husband. Like I honestly I buy into Clyde's character. And I honestly I even buy into Nick's character, because he's
a father, husband as well.
Mm-hmm. And he's trying to like protect his family and like what's his, and like his like the people, even like his mentor and like the people around him, that's his family too. And watching them like go, it's like I have to get this guy. And it like I said, it's like the yin and yang of Clyde and Nick are yin and yang of characters.
Right.
I think the pairing of Gerard Butler and Jamie Foxx was actually a really good part.
Oh, they have great chemistry together.
Mm-hmm. I honestly think if they would have put somebody else in there with them, with the scenes that they have, I don't think it would have been I don't think it would have been the same.
The only other way that this would have worked is if it was like Al Pacino and Robert De Niro together.
Oh, yeah.
Younger De Niro and
yeah. If you've ever seen Heat, it's kind of it kind of has that feel to it.
Yeah, that diner scene. Oh my god, yeah, because I seen both versions. L.A. Takedown, and then Heat, and it's like it's the same dialogue. But it's different actors. But oh man, what a difference that makes. Making sure that you cast the right people for that
God, yes.
Sure.
All right. Okay. Let's wrap things up.
We give like out of 5 stars. Like, David? What would you give this film out of 5 stars?
Yeah.
5 being the best, obviously.
Right.
I'd say 10, but 5. I'll go with a 5, man. I can't
you
enough to anyone that wants to watch it.
5.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this a 4.
Dude, Andy, you're reading my mind. It has like a few some minor flaws.
Yeah.
Honestly, like it's really like it's nitpicky at this point. Like, so
exactly.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 4. It's a great movie. Honestly, like, I don't know if a lot of people know about this film because I certainly didn't. I'm glad I watched it. I'm probably gonna watch this again. This might be a movie that my wife would like. She likes Gerard Butler. She likes Jamie Foxx. Those are actors that she knows. So she's very picky on her movies. Anything black and white is out. So and if there's not an actor that she knows, she's kind of out. But she knows these characters, so I'm like, all right, like I think I could get her to watch this.
You gotta sit down and watch. Dim the lights. Don't have the lights, real high. You can actually turn the lights off, sit down, and make sure you're not going to be interrupted. Put the cell phones away and watch it, and don't pick it up for nothing.
This is definitely a movie I could probably watch with my wife, and I think she would really like this film.
She might get some ideas. You better watch out.
She already has those ideas, so it's okay.
Yeah.
I know at some point I'm probably gonna get stabbed in my sleep. It's maybe it might be when I'm 50, but who knows?
Yeah, the important thing it's coming. Just
yeah.
Just don't know when. You know it's coming. You just don't know when.
Just know I'm never gonna commit suicide. So if that happens, like avenge my death.
Right, yeah. So if we is like, oh yeah, Robert committed suicide by jumping into an elevator shaft. He landed on 50 bullets.
Yeah. I have 2 bullets in the back of my head. It's a suicide. Yeah, that's not. It was Hillary Clinton. She got me.
Oh God. Hey, you better watch out. She might.
She very might well.
That man might get you.
Yeah. But yeah, no, David, thank you so much for recommending this movie. Like I had no idea about this.
Oh man, I gotta.
I'm happy that I watched it. I will definitely watch this movie again. It has a lot of rewatchability.
I got a plethora of movies that you need to watch.
Of the movies that you recommended, I was like, this is the least horror film, which is not my favorite genre. So I was.
So David's a horror guy. I see.
David's a horror guy. That's why I was recommending to him Bone Tomahawk, which is that's about as much horror as I can probably take.
Mm-hmm.
Andy, let me ask you something, man. Let me ask you something because I've already told Robert he's got to watch this. Have you ever heard of the movie called Brightburn?
Yes, I have. I haven't seen it, but I know about it. Yes.
That might be also within the realm of horror that I can take.
I will tell you this. If you don't know about Brightburn, look up variantcomics.com.
Mm-hmm.
or go on YouTube and type in Variant Comics, and type in Brightburn when the search comes up with Variant, and it'll do the history of for Brightburn, and yeah, it's very interesting.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
But definitely, y'all gotta watch the movie though.
Okay, like I said, it's on my list. I just added it to my watch list, so I will. Yeah, I did. Like I said, I just watched Bone Tomahawk, which is a fucking horrific film. So I'll add that to my list, and hopefully it's within that same genre of like just. That's about as much as I could probably take.
What kind of movies you watch, Andy?
What was that?
I said, what kind of movies you watch? Lifetime?
Oh. No, dude, I watch it all, really.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Honestly, I give him so much like schlock, shitty movies to watch. Like, I know he's like annoyed by that. But we've kind of like been like we've run the gamut of like films. I mean, we've watched like every type of genre that you could think of, in our because we've been doing this for about like 2.5 years, movie reviews. Yeah, and I mean we've watched pretty much everything that we could think of. I mean we've been trying to run through like some of the classics. Obviously we have our 5-star like movies that we've watched. We've watched the movies that like were honestly like they were like shit. Like like even the shit that like we've watched we've enjoyed too. So
yeah, I will say this: like there's a movie on Hulu, and it's got Shia LaBeouf in it. LaBeouf.
Yeah.
Have y'all seen the previews for it? It's the tax.
Now he's been in several films. Like he's in the sequel to Wall Street. He's in what's that horror film that he's in that's like really fucking like dark. That he's great in actually. I cannot.
You talking about Disturbia?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, Disturbia. That's a great film.
That was a good one. You gotta watch. Like this one's more of a action-packed movie that he's in. It's called Tax Collector, and he's on. It's a kind of like a gang-related movie.
Okay.
But it's like a 3.5, maybe 4-star movie. It's not like a.
It's not great, but like it's decent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
still pretty high.
Yeah, it's got like it's good. It's got good action in it. It's just the way the confusion. And if you watch it, you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah, well, I'll definitely check it out. Like I said, I might watch Disturbia again. I've been kind of wanting to watch that movie again.
Okay. That's the movie review for tonight.
Yeah.
David gives it a 5. Both Robert and I give it a 4. Definitely would recommend this movie.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's very entertaining, and as Robert said, the rewatchability factor is very high. So you can go back. You can watch this movie and then go back and find all the little nuances and little details that you missed in the first. From the first viewing, but definitely recommend it.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. And so that's our movie review for the month for this month's theme of guest month. It's
starting out. It's off to a hot start. I like it.
And maybe we can maybe we'll do this again. And have David on again. I'm sure I know we're gonna have him again on the main podcast because he has so many stories. I mean, the first time he was on, he just had so many stories, and we have to get to the stories about Robert because I don't think we got enough of those last time you were on the main podcast. And I want the dirt, and I want the real dirt on Robert because I've only known Robert for about 6, better part of a decade. But I need to know all the stuff before I met him. All right, and I know David has the dirt, and I want that dirt.
He's known me for almost half my life, dude. Like it's now I'm thinking about it. It's like, fuck, I'm getting old. He's known me for almost half my life.
God, I've known you since you were 18, 19 years old. And that's
18. Yeah,
years ago.
Actually, we met when I was 17 when we met. Almost.
It has been 20 years.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, I'm old.
Yeah, because I'm gonna be 35 this year, but like we've known each other for so fucking long, dude.
Yeah, that's damn.
All right, folks. Let me just wrap this up real fast. All right, thank you guys for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed the review. Don't forget to check out the library of other episodes we have. The Circle of Jerks, main podcast, Nocturnal Transmissions, of course, and Rob's gaming show, Up by Up Down. Don't forget to follow us on our various social media accounts, Twitter and Letterboxd @PodcastCOJ, and Instagram @Circle of Jerks Podcast. And with all that said, we thank you for joining us, and we'll do it all again next week.